Most people hit their 50s and suddenly realize time is sped up. The decades that felt endless now look like a blur. You start thinking about retirement, not as an abstract idea, but as something approaching fast. And the question that echoes louder than ever is, am I ready? The truth is, most aren't, not because they didn't make money, but because they didn't manage the relationship between their emotions and their decisions. Retirement is not just a financial transition. It's a psychological one. It's when every decision you've ever made about money, risk, and discipline comes back to speak to you. For many, those voices aren't kind. The reason isn't the market inflation or bad luck. It's the internal narrative that guided their financial choices for decades. Fear, greed, impatience, and the illusion of control, these are not just feelings. They're the unseen forces that determine whether you retire free or anxious. At 50, you don't need another get-rich strategy. You need clarity. You need to understand how you think about money, because how you think determines how you act. Most people react to the market, to the news, to other people's opinions. Very few respond from a place of self-awareness and structure. If you want to save your retirement, it starts by mastering your mindset, not chasing the next opportunity. You see, the market doesn't reward the smartest or the hardest working. It rewards the most disciplined. The same applies to life at 50%. The game changes. You no longer have time to recover from reckless decisions. You can't afford to hope it works out. You need a system, not just for investing, but for thinking. A system that separates your emotions from your execution. If you're still making decisions based on fear, fear of missing out, fear of loss, fear of starting too late, you'll continue repeating the same mistakes. The difference between those who retire comfortably and those who struggle isn't how much they earn, it's how much control they have over their responses. Every dollar you invest must have a purpose, and every move must be guided by patience and awareness. The next decade can either compound your regrets or multiply your freedom. The difference lies in what you do now. Stop comparing yourself to where others are. Stop wishing you'd started earlier. The reality is, you're right on time as if you start thinking differently today. Because the market doesn't care about your age, your plans, or your fears. It only responds to your behavior. And if you can train yourself to act with discipline instead of emotion, you can rebuild, recover, and even thrive beyond what you imagined possible. The only thing standing between you and a secure retirement is not your age, it's your mindset. Mastering your mindset before managing money is the cornerstone of financial security, especially for someone approaching or already in their 50s. At this stage in life, the stakes are higher, the timeline shorter, and the consequences of impulsive or poorly thought out decisions far more significant than they were in your 20s or 30s. Most people think that financial success is primarily about knowledge, luck, or opportunity. While these factors do play a role, the single most critical determinant of whether your money works for you or against you is how you think about money, risk, and time. Your mindset forms the foundation for every financial choice, from how you invest to how you spend, save, and plan for the future. Without mastering your mindset, even the best strategies can fail because they are executed inconsistently, impulsively, or emotionally. When you reach 50, your financial life is no longer a distant experiment. You have accumulated assets, debts, experiences, and habits that have shaped your current position. The money you have now is a reflection of decades of decisions, some conscious, some unconscious. What many people fail to realize is that your accumulated wealth, or lack thereof, is largely a result of your mental patterns, the recurring thoughts and emotions that guided your decisions over the years. If fear, procrastination, impatience, or overconfidence dominated those patterns, the results are clear in your portfolio, retirement accounts, and lifestyle. Conversely, if patience, discipline, and clarity governed your actions, you are in a stronger position than you may even realize. Understanding this truth is the first step in mastering your mindset. It is not about blaming yourself for past mistakes. It is about acknowledging that your thinking shapes your outcomes and that you can change the trajectory moving forward. At this age, the psychological traps that have haunted investors and savers throughout life become more pronounced. Fear of loss is stronger because you have more to lose and less time to recover. Regret looms larger because you see the opportunities you may have missed. Impatience can lead you to chase quick gains rather than focus on steady growth. Overconfidence may cause you to believe you can outperform the market or beat your previous results without a system. Each of these mental patterns, if unaddressed, can sabotage your retirement plans. Mastering your mindset involves recognizing these traps, understanding their influence, and developing strategies to manage them effectively. It requires a deep self-awareness that allows you to pause before reacting and to respond deliberately instead of emotionally. A critical aspect of mindset mastery is understanding the difference between short-term emotions and long-term goals. Market fluctuations, economic news, and life events all trigger immediate emotional reactions: anxiety, excitement, frustration, or greed. Without the ability to distinguish between transient feelings and enduring objectives, people often make decisions that are counterproductive. For example, selling investments during a market dip out of fear can lock in losses, while chasing trends out of greed can expose you to unnecessary risk. Mastering your mindset means training yourself to see beyond the immediate, to focus on the bigger picture, and to align every action with long-term objectives. It is about building mental resilience so that temporary setbacks do not derail decades of planning. Another dimension of mastering your mindset is confronting biases and self-deceptions. Cognitive biases like loss aversion, overconfidence, and recency bias subtly shape how we perceive risk and reward. Loss aversion, the tendency to fear losses more than we value gains, can lead to overly conservative decisions that stunt growth. Overconfidence can cause excessive risk-taking, especially in the belief that past success guarantees future results. Recency bias can make recent market events seem more significant than they are, leading to reactive decisions. Becoming aware of these biases allows you to create mental guardrails, structures, and rules that prevent emotions from dominating decisions. Discipline and routine are practical manifestations of a mastered mindset. People who understand the importance of mindset don't rely on inspiration or motivation alone. They create consistent habits that guide behavior. Regular investing according to a plan, systematic saving, periodic portfolio reviews, and maintaining an emergency fund. Discipline reduces the reliance on willpower alone, which can be eroded under stress. A disciplined mindset treats financial management as a process rather than a series of reactions to external events. It also reinforces patience, the understanding that wealth is built gradually and that compounding works best when time and consistency are on your side. Furthermore, mastering your mindset involves redefining your relationship with money itself. Instead of viewing money as merely a tool for consumption or a source of stress, it becomes a mechanism for freedom, security, and opportunity. This shift changes your priorities and decisions. You begin to invest with intention, save with purpose, and spend with awareness. The focus moves from short-term gratification to long-term benefit, from comparison with others to alignment with personal goals, and from reactive behavior to proactive planning. This psychological alignment is crucial because without it, even significant financial resources may fail to provide the peace of mind and stability that retirement demands. At 50%, time is both an asset and a constraint. Unlike in earlier years, you cannot afford repeated mistakes or prolonged learning curves without consequence. The margin for error is smaller, but the potential for transformation is significant. By mastering your mindset now, you can recalibrate your approach, make smarter choices, and extract the maximum benefit from the resources you have. Mindset mastery allows you to approach every financial decision with calm, clarity, and confidence, reducing anxiety and improving outcomes. It is not a one-time effort, but a continuous practice, a commitment to thinking critically, reflecting regularly, and acting deliberately. Ultimately, the act of mastering your mindset before managing money is about shifting from reactive to strategic behavior. It is about understanding that your wealth is a mirror of your thinking, and that by improving the way you think, you improve the way you act. And by improving the way you act, you improve the results you achieve. Every financial plan, every investment strategy, every saving decision is amplified or undermined by the mental framework you bring to it. Mastery of mindset is not abstract. It is practical, measurable, and transformative. It is the foundation upon which a secure, comfortable, and even prosperous retirement can be built. Would you like me to continue expanding this into the full depth of 1,500 plus words with practical examples and actionable exercises, keeping it in the same style? Discipline beats intelligence in financial decisions, and this principle becomes even more critical as you approach your 50s. Most people assume that wealth is primarily the result of skill, talent, or knowledge. While those factors certainly play a role, they are far less important than the consistent application of disciplined behavior over time. Intelligence without discipline is like having a high-powered engine with no fuel. It looks impressive, but it won't take you anywhere. The same holds true for financial life. Many highly intelligent people fail to achieve financial security, not because they lack understanding of investments or money management, but because they lack the patience, consistency, and emotional control necessary to execute their plans reliably. Discipline in financial decisions starts with clarity of goals. Without knowing exactly what you are aiming for, it is impossible to measure your actions against meaningful criteria. Those who are disciplined take the time to define their retirement objectives, desired lifestyle, and risk tolerance. They understand that their financial plan must be anchored in reality, accounting for both current resources and future needs. This clarity allows them to make informed choices and avoid impulsive decisions driven by emotions, trends, or social pressures. Every investment, saving decision, and expenditure is evaluated against these objectives, creating a framework that guides behavior even when external conditions are uncertain. The importance of discipline is most evident in investing. Market fluctuations, economic uncertainty, and unexpected life events create a natural environment for fear and greed to dominate decision-making. Those who rely on intelligence alone may feel confident analyzing stocks, bonds, and other instruments. But without discipline, they may still make poor decisions, buying high during market euphoria, selling low during downturns, or chasing risky opportunities that promise quick gains. Discipline acts as a stabilizing force, ensuring that decisions are consistent, systematic, and aligned with long-term objectives. It is the invisible hand that keeps your portfolio on track when emotions would otherwise push you off course. Another critical aspect of discipline is managing spending habits. Many people underestimate how small, consistent expenditures erode wealth over time. Discipline in spending does not mean deprivation, it means intentionality. Every dollar spent is considered in the context of long-term goals, and unnecessary consumption is minimized. This approach allows for steady accumulation of savings, even if income growth is moderate. It also reduces stress, as disciplined financial behavior builds a sense of control and confidence, reinforcing the belief that you can achieve your retirement objectives without relying on luck or windfalls. Discipline also applies to how you handle debt. Intelligent individuals may understand interest rates, credit terms, and repayment structures, but without discipline, they may still carry high-interest debt, make late payments, or accumulate new liabilities impulsively. Financial discipline means prioritizing debt repayment, managing obligations carefully, and avoiding unnecessary borrowing. It is about creating a stable foundation that allows your investments and savings to grow rather than being drained by interest payments and penalties. The disciplined approach to debt reduces risk and increases the likelihood of achieving financial freedom by retirement age. Time management is another dimension of financial discipline. Many people fail to recognize that the value of time in wealth accumulation is not just about the number of years until retirement, but about the compounding effect of consistent actions over those years. Discipline means committing to regular contributions to retirement accounts, consistently reviewing financial plans, and periodically adjusting strategies to stay aligned with goals. It requires setting aside distractions and avoiding impulsive reactions to market noise, media hype, or peer pressure. Each disciplined action compounds over time, creating a snowball effect that intelligence alone cannot replicate. Emotional control is intrinsically linked to discipline. Financial decisions are rarely made in a vacuum. They are influenced by fear, greed, pride, and impatience. Discipline acts as a filter between emotion and action, allowing you to pause, reflect, and respond thoughtfully rather than reactively. This control is not innate. It is developed through habit, practice, and awareness. For example, disciplined investors maintain their allocations even during periods of volatility, understanding that short-term fluctuations do not define long-term success. They avoid panic selling or speculative buying, not because they lack understanding, but because they have trained themselves to adhere to principles and rules that protect their wealth. The role of discipline extends beyond personal finances to professional behavior and decision-making. Consistency in career development, income generation, and skill enhancement contributes directly to financial outcomes. Disciplined individuals approach their work systematically, seek opportunities for growth strategically, and avoid shortcuts that compromise long-term results. The financial benefit of this disciplined approach is compounded by the increased earning potential, stability, and the ability to invest surplus income wisely. That demonstrates that discipline is not confined to investments or savings. It is a holistic approach that permeates every aspect of life and significantly enhances the probability of financial security. Building discipline is an ongoing process requiring self-reflection, accountability, and reinforcement. It starts with small, manageable actions that become habits. For example, setting up automatic contributions to retirement accounts, establishing a monthly budget, and reviewing spending patterns regularly are simple exercises in discipline that accumulate significant results over time. Discipline is reinforced through consistency, which gradually builds confidence and reduces anxiety about money. The more you practice, the more automatic disciplined behavior becomes, allowing you to act with purpose even when challenges or temptations arise. Ultimately, intelligence can guide decisions, but discipline ensures they are executed effectively. It is the combination of knowledge and consistent action that creates sustainable wealth. Those who reach their 50s without disciplined financial habits often regret missed opportunities and inconsistent choices, while those who cultivate discipline experience the compounding benefits of steady, controlled progress. Discipline protects against impulsive mistakes, mitigates risk, and transforms strategy into results. It turns good intentions into real outcomes and ensures that financial decisions align with long-term goals, even in the face of uncertainty, volatility, or emotional stress. Would you like me to continue expanding this further into a more detailed version with practical scenarios, keeping it in the same style? Emotional control is critical for late-stage investing because the decisions you make in your 50s and beyond are often influenced more by feelings than by facts, and the consequences of those decisions can have a lasting impact on your retirement security. At this stage of life, you have accumulated assets, experience, and knowledge, but also fears, regrets, and anxieties that can cloud judgment. The problem is not the market itself, the economy, or unforeseen events. The problem is how you respond to them. Emotions like fear, greed, impatience, and regret can override even the most well-thought-out strategies, leading to actions that sabotage long-term goals. Learning to manage your emotional responses is not just helpful, it is essential for achieving stability, growth, and security in your financial future. Many investors underestimate how deeply emotions can affect their financial behavior. The human brain is wired to respond to perceived threats and opportunities with strong emotional reactions. In practical terms, this means that during a market downturn, fear may drive an investor to sell at a loss, despite a long-term plan that dictates holding. Conversely, during a market boom, greed can lead to overexposure, chasing gains at precisely the wrong time. Emotional responses are often subconscious, triggered by patterns of thought and past experiences, which is why self-awareness and control are crucial. Recognizing these patterns allows you to pause before reacting, creating a space in which rational decisions can replace impulsive actions. At 50, the stakes are higher than ever. The time horizon for recovery is shorter, meaning that mistakes can have a larger relative impact on your retirement plans. Emotional control is about developing the ability to respond thoughtfully rather than react instinctively. It requires acknowledging the emotions you feel without letting them dictate behavior. For example, feeling anxious about market volatility is natural, but acting on that anxiety by making sudden, drastic changes to your portfolio often exacerbates risk rather than mitigating it. Controlled responses guided by a predefined plan allow you to navigate volatility with confidence, knowing that your actions are based on principles rather than feelings. One of the most significant challenges for late-stage investors is loss aversion, the tendency to fear losses more than they value equivalent gains. This emotional bias can lead to overly conservative decisions that limit growth, such as holding cash instead of investing in diversified assets, or avoiding opportunities that could enhance retirement security. Conversely, loss aversion can also trigger panic selling, locking in losses unnecessarily. Emotional control involves recognizing these tendencies and implementing strategies to counteract them. This may include setting clear rules for portfolio allocation, using stop-loss orders appropriately, or committing to a long-term investment schedule that reduces the temptation to react to short-term movements. Greed is the other side of the emotional coin. Many investors make the mistake of chasing quick gains, believing that they can outperform the market through timing or speculation. This behavior is often driven by the excitement of rapid wealth accumulation and the fear of missing out on opportunities that others appear to be exploiting. Emotional control tempers this impulse, helping investors resist the allure of speculative trades and stick to strategies that are consistent with their long-term objectives. Discipline, planning, and clear goals act as stabilizers, ensuring that actions are deliberate rather than impulsive. Patience is a crucial aspect of emotional control. Wealth is rarely accumulated overnight. It grows steadily over time through consistent, informed actions. Impatience can push investors toward high-risk opportunities or trigger reactions to temporary setbacks, undermining long-term success. Emotional control allows investors to maintain perspective, focusing on the bigger picture rather than being derailed by short-term fluctuations. It reinforces the understanding that volatility is a normal part of investing, not a signal to abandon a carefully constructed plan. By cultivating patience, investors can maintain a steady course, allowing their assets to grow while avoiding costly mistakes. Another element of emotional control is managing regret and past mistakes. Many late-stage investors carry the burden of missed opportunities, bad trades, or financial errors made earlier in life. Regret can distort perception, causing individuals to overcompensate or avoid taking necessary actions. Emotional control requires accepting past outcomes without letting them dictate future decisions. It involves learning from mistakes objectively, adjusting strategies when needed, and moving forward with a clear, rational mindset. By separating past experiences from present choices, investors can avoid the destructive cycle of reactive decision-making driven by unresolved emotions. Financial decisions are also influenced by social and psychological pressures. Peer behavior, market hype, and media narratives can amplify emotions, creating a sense of urgency or panic that is not grounded in personal goals or rational analysis. Emotional control helps you filter these external influences, allowing you to focus on your unique objectives and circumstances. This internal focus reduces stress, improves clarity, and enhances the probability of making decisions that align with your retirement plan. Practical strategies for developing emotional control include setting predefined rules for investing, creating structured decision-making processes, and regularly reviewing goals and outcomes. Automation, such as scheduled contributions or rebalancing, can reduce the influence of momentary emotions. Mindfulness and self-reflection practices can help recognize emotional triggers before they impact behavior. Additionally, consulting with trusted advisors or mentors can provide perspective, reinforcing rational decision-making in moments of uncertainty. Emotional control is not an innate trait, but a skill cultivated over time through conscious practice and awareness. It requires understanding your own emotional tendencies, anticipating how they may influence behavior, and implementing structures that mitigate impulsive reactions. The benefits are significant. Investors with strong emotional control experience reduce stress, greater consistency in portfolio management, and improved long-term outcomes. This control transforms uncertainty from a source of fear into a manageable element of a disciplined plan, enabling investors to make decisions with confidence and clarity. For late-stage investing, emotional control is arguably more important than market knowledge, technical skill, or timing. The ability to act rationally under pressure, resist impulsive behavior, and maintain focus on long-term goals determines the difference between a secure retirement and financial insecurity. Every decision, from asset allocation to spending and saving, is influenced by emotions, and mastering them allows for better execution of even the most basic strategies. Emotional control ensures that intelligence, knowledge, and planning are effectively translated into action, turning potential into realized outcomes and protecting decades of effort from being undermined by momentary impulses. Would you like me to continue expanding this further into even more detailed examples and actionable techniques for maintaining emotional control in late-stage investing? Focusing on purpose-driven, systematic investing is one of the most powerful strategies for anyone approaching retirement, particularly for those in their 50s who are looking to secure their financial future. At this stage in life, time is both a valuable asset and a limiting factor, which makes clarity and consistency in investing more important than ever. Purpose-driven investing begins with a clear understanding of your goals, priorities, and risk tolerance. Without this clarity, even the most well-researched financial strategies can become ineffective or counterproductive. Many investors make the mistake of investing reactively, following trends or chasing returns without a coherent framework, which often leads to stress, losses, and missed opportunities. Systematic investing removes guesswork from the equation, allowing you to act consistently, confidently, and strategically, regardless of market conditions. The first step in purpose-driven investing is defining what purpose means for your financial life. This goes beyond simply aiming for a large retirement account balance. It involves identifying your desired lifestyle, the legacy you wish to leave, and the level of security you want to maintain in retirement. Purpose-driven investors translate these goals into specific financial objectives, such as funding healthcare costs, maintaining a certain income level, or ensuring financial independence for themselves and their family. By anchoring every investment decision to a clearly defined purpose, you create a filter through which all opportunities and risks are evaluated. This approach prevents impulsive decisions driven by fear, greed, or market hype, and ensures that every dollar you invest serves a meaningful role in your overall plan. Systematic investing complements purpose by providing structure and consistency. The markets are inherently volatile, and without a disciplined approach, it is easy to be swayed by short-term fluctuations or sensational news. Systematic investing involves creating a plan and adhering to it, using regular contributions, diversified allocations, and periodic rebalancing to maintain alignment with long-term goals. This approach reduces the emotional component of investing, transforming what can be a reactive, stressful process into a manageable, predictable one. It also leverages the power of compounding over time, which is particularly critical for those in their 50s who have fewer years to recover from mistakes or missed opportunities. Diversification is a cornerstone of systematic investing. A well-constructed portfolio spreads risk across asset classes, sectors, and geographies, ensuring that no single event can derail your financial plan. Diversification is not just a technical principle. It is a reflection of purpose-driven thinking. Each investment is chosen for a specific role within the broader portfolio. Whether it is for growth, income, or protection, this intentional allocation allows investors to pursue meaningful objectives while managing exposure to volatility. Purpose-driven investors understand that the goal is not to chase the highest returns in isolation, but to achieve steady, reliable progress toward their defined objectives. Another critical element of systematic investing is regular monitoring and disciplined adjustment. Life circumstances, market conditions, and personal goals evolve over time, and your investment plan must adapt accordingly. This does not mean reacting impulsively to every market movement. Rather, it involves periodic reviews to ensure that your allocations, risk levels, and strategies remain consistent with your purpose. Systematic investing encourages a proactive mindset, where adjustments are thoughtful, deliberate, and aligned with long-term objectives rather than short-term emotions. Purpose-driven investing also requires a mindset of patience and long-term thinking. Many investors in their 50s feel pressure to catch up on retirement savings, which can lead to risky decisions or unrealistic expectations. Systematic investing mitigates this pressure by focusing on consistent actions that accumulate over time. It reinforces the understanding that wealth is built gradually and that sustainable growth comes from disciplined application of strategy, not from chasing quick wins. The combination of purpose and systematic action reduces anxiety, builds confidence, and allows investors to maintain control even in uncertain conditions. Behavioral discipline is intertwined with systematic investing. Emotions such as fear, greed, and impatience can erode financial plans, especially for those approaching retirement. By adhering to a systematic process anchored in purpose, investors minimize the influence of emotional reactions. Predefined rules for contributions, rebalancing, and risk management act as guardrails that prevent impulsive actions and reinforce consistent behavior. This alignment between strategy and psychology is essential for late-stage investors, as it enables them to make rational decisions, avoid costly mistakes, and stay on track toward their goals. Purpose-driven, systematic investing also encourages efficiency and clarity in decision-making. Every investment, whether in stocks, bonds, real estate, or other assets, is evaluated based on its role in achieving the defined purpose. This reduces the tendency to overcomplicate, overtrade, or chase opportunities that do not align with long-term objectives. Investors develop a disciplined framework for analyzing options, allocating capital, and prioritizing actions, which enhances focus and reduces stress. By creating a repeatable process, the complexity of financial markets becomes manageable, and decision-making is guided by principles rather than impulse. Tax efficiency, cost management, and risk mitigation are additional aspects of purpose-driven investing. Systematic investors consider how taxes, fees, and exposure to risk affect their overall plan. They choose investments not only for potential returns, but also for their impact on net outcomes after costs and taxes. By doing so, they maximize the effectiveness of every dollar invested, ensuring that resources are allocated in a way that directly supports their purpose. Attention to these details is part of the systematic mindset, reflecting a thoughtful, disciplined approach rather than reliance on luck or timing. Education and awareness are also crucial. Purpose-driven investors stay informed about market trends, economic conditions, and investment principles, but they filter information through the lens of their goals and strategies. This selective approach prevents information overload and reduces reactive behavior. Investors understand that knowledge alone is insufficient. It must be combined with disciplined execution. By maintaining focus on their purpose, they can evaluate new opportunities critically, integrate them selectively into the plan, and avoid distractions that could undermine progress. The combination of purpose and systematic execution creates resilience. Market volatility, economic downturns, and unexpected life events are inevitable, but a plan anchored in purpose allows investors to respond with clarity rather than panic. Systematic investing transforms uncertainty from a threat into a manageable variable, creating confidence and stability. It provides a roadmap for navigating challenges, reinforcing the principle that success is not measured by perfection or short-term results, but by consistent progress toward meaningful goals. Would you like me to continue expanding this further with real-life examples, step-by-step actionable strategies, and behavioral techniques to reach the full 1,500-word depth while maintaining the same style? It's never too late to start if you act wisely today. And this principle is particularly vital for those in their 50s who are contemplating retirement. Many people believe that by 50, their financial path is largely set, and any significant improvement is out of reach. This is a misconception, one that can create unnecessary fear, resignation, and inaction. The truth is that even with limited time remaining before retirement, strategic, informed, and consistent action can still dramatically alter outcomes. The key lies in understanding the opportunities that remain, leveraging the resources you have, and making decisions with discipline and clarity rather than regret or panic. One of the first steps in acting wisely is gaining a clear picture of your current financial situation. This means taking an honest inventory of assets, liabilities, income, expenses, and potential future obligations. Many individuals avoid this step because it can be uncomfortable to confront gaps or past mistakes. However, clarity is essential, because you cannot navigate effectively without knowing exactly where you stand, understanding your net worth. Retirement account balances, outstanding debt, and recurring expenses allows you to create a realistic plan that addresses both short-term and long-term needs. This assessment also highlights opportunities for improvement in areas where focused action can yield significant results. Once you understand your starting point, the next step is to establish clear, actionable goals. Goals provide direction and purpose, transforming abstract concerns about retirement into concrete targets. At 50%, these goals should be both realistic and ambitious. Realistic in acknowledging the time constraints and remaining resources, ambitious in leveraging every opportunity to optimize outcomes. Goals may include building a specific retirement nest egg, eliminating high-interest debt, generating passive income streams, or ensuring healthcare and lifestyle needs are met. Purpose-driven goals act as a guiding compass, helping you prioritize actions and avoid distractions that do not contribute to meaningful progress. The principle of starting wisely also involves embracing discipline. At this stage, there is little room for impulsive decisions or guesswork. Discipline manifests in several ways: regular contributions to retirement accounts, consistent saving and investing practices, avoidance of unnecessary debt, and adherence to a clearly defined asset allocation strategy. Discipline reduces the influence of emotions like fear and greed, which often drive destructive decisions. It ensures that your actions are systematic, repeatable, and aligned with long-term objectives. Even small, consistent contributions can have a powerful compounding effect, particularly when combined with thoughtful investment choices and risk management strategies. Time is an essential factor, but it should not be viewed as an obstacle. While it is true that starting later reduces the window for growth, it does not eliminate opportunity. In fact, for many individuals, starting at 50 allows for a more focused, intentional approach that avoids the trial and error mistakes common in earlier decades. Leveraging existing skills, assets, and income streams can accelerate progress. For example, redirecting discretionary spending into investments, maximizing contributions to tax-advantaged accounts, and taking advantage of employer matching programs can provide meaningful gains over the next 10 to 15 years. The key is to act deliberately and consistently rather than delaying further. Another vital component of acting wisely is managing risk intelligently. Late-stage investors cannot afford reckless gambles, but they also cannot rely solely on overly conservative strategies that erode growth potential. Balanced approaches that combine safety and growth allow for both preservation and accumulation of wealth. This may involve diversifying across asset classes, incorporating bonds or fixed income instruments to stabilize returns, and maintaining some exposure to equities for long-term growth. Understanding risk tolerance, time horizon, and liquidity needs ensures that every decision supports the overarching goal of securing a comfortable retirement. Education and informed decision-making play a central role in acting wisely. Many individuals delay starting because they feel overwhelmed by complexity or unsure where to begin. The reality is that actionable knowledge does not require mastery of every market nuance or technical concept. Instead, it requires understanding the fundamentals of saving, investing, and risk management and applying them consistently. Seeking guidance from trusted advisors, leveraging educational resources, and learning from past experiences can reduce uncertainty and provide the confidence needed to take decisive action. Knowledge, combined with disciplined execution, transforms potential into measurable results. Behavioral strategies are equally important. Psychological obstacles such as procrastination, fear of failure, and self-doubt can prevent even the most capable individuals from taking meaningful action. Recognizing these internal barriers is the first step toward overcoming them. Structuring your financial activities, automating contributions, setting clear milestones, and tracking progress can reduce reliance on willpower and help maintain momentum. These practices turn intention into action, ensuring that starting late does not equate to falling behind. Maximizing existing resources is another critical aspect. At 50%, you often have accumulated knowledge, professional experience, and perhaps assets that can be leveraged to accelerate retirement preparedness. This could involve optimizing investment portfolios, downsizing unnecessary expenses, monetizing skills or hobbies, or exploring additional income opportunities. Every resource that can be strategically redirected toward financial growth increases the probability of achieving your retirement goals. Acting wisely means identifying and utilizing these opportunities without delay, turning what may feel like a disadvantage of starting late into an advantage of informed, purposeful action. Consistency over time amplifies the impact of starting wisely. Even when beginning later in life, regular contributions, disciplined spending, and adherence to a structured investment strategy produce compounding effects that accumulate significantly over a decade or more. The cumulative effect of these actions far outweighs the results of sporadic or reactive decisions. By creating a repeatable process and adhering to it, you transform financial management from a reactive exercise into a proactive strategy, ensuring that each decision contributes meaningfully to long-term outcomes. A mindset shift is equally essential. Believing that it is too late to start can be paralyzing, but recognizing that every day offers an opportunity to improve your financial position empowers action. Late starters who adopt a proactive, solution-oriented mindset often outperform those who began earlier, but acted inconsistently or without focus. Action, discipline, and clarity create momentum that can redefine retirement possibilities even when the timeline feels compressed. Would you like me to continue expanding this further with detailed examples, step-by-step actionable strategies, and behavioral techniques to reach the full 1,500 plus word depth while keeping the same style?